All right, in this tutorial, we're going to be working and showing you exactly how to take a piece of paper, white backdrop with a moving model or subject, and voila, turn it into a perfectly white background, doing all of this in Premiere Pro. Okay, so first things first, what we want to start with is fixing this white background and making it as white as possible. So here I have applied a color correction, all right, a basic lumetri color correction to this image. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at it and see exactly what was done. Of course, we can play with the temperature just to kind of see how you want this to look, if you want it to be warmer or cooler. The other thing is you might need to adjust it just due to the background. So if we look at the initial shot here, I probably should have shot this in S-Log, but I shot it in Cine 2 on a Sony. So you will notice that there's actually some blue light because the room was so kind of blue. There are these overhead lights that had a tint to them. And then I have just this standard 56 Kelvin in the background. So I actually increased the um, the oranges, for example, dropped the purples a little bit. The main thing here is I increased the whites. Okay, I moved them, as high as they go. I played with the contrast a little bit, and then I actually ended up decreasing exposure because increasing the whites so much kind of played a role in that. Didn't do anything with creative. Didn't do anything with the curves. In fact, didn't mess around with SL secondary, and then of course we don't have a vignette. The magic's going to come in masking and using masks on adjustment layers, but taking a look at this basic color correction, this is the first step. Let's go ahead and copy that color correction and paste it on this clip to see what happens. So as you can see, we have more of a white background now. It's not fully perfect like you see in this image, but there's white surrounding the subject, and that's the key thing we're going for. That's how you want it to look. Of course, if we zoom up here and take a look at the feet, you'll see that there's some darkness, right? There's some wrinkles and all kinds of stuff that we're going to have to work out. But around his body, for the most part, this is all white. All right, this is all perfectly white. And the next thing that we're going to do is actually mask this subject. So you want to watch your video and see whatever the full range of motion is. In this case, it's an exercise. For the most part, it's usually even like static video or image. But even if there's motion, what we want to do is click on our video, come up to the effects control panel, and click on the free draw masking tool. We're going to click on that. And I know the stick does not move out to the right. So I'm going to just start masking this. And the stick doesn't move, neither do his feet. So I can get pretty close. Okay. His arm does come down a little bit. So I'm going to move this guy out. Okay. And before we complete that, we can just scroll through and kind of check again the range of motion, making sure that no part of this video goes outside of that. All right, we should be good. So I'm going to go ahead and complete this mask. And what it did was it masked out, our subject. What we want to do next is go ahead and come up to, we could do it through File to make it easy. So File, New, we're going to select Color Matte, and then we're going to choose a white color matte. Press OK. And it's going to add a white color matte into our project. Now we can take that white color matte and actually put it underneath our video. And now, voila, we're getting there, okay? Our mask worked really well. There's no harsh lines. You can play with the feather by clicking on the clip, coming back to your mask, and you can play with the feather slightly if you want to. sometimes there's going to be these lines around it. Like if we were to decrease the exposure, we can now see them, right? But we want them to completely disappear. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, the last thing that I recommend doing to kind of fine tune the details, especially I'm thinking, down here, is we can go ahead and create an adjustment layer. All right, so File, New, Adjustment Layer, or you can click on this little New Item button in your project and put that on top of everything. Now, this is kind of an advanced tutorial, so you should know that by adjusting adjustment layers, they actually are going to adjust anything below your project, right? So what I want to do is a little tricky and creative, but we are going to actually zoom up to his feet where we see these shadows, and we're going to increase the whites again on this adjustment layer. Or maybe, the exposure a little bit. I don't want his feet to disappear, as you can kind of see there. But I am looking at, this kind of area right here. We could decrease shadows a little bit, see if that does it. Not really. It's going to mostly be increasing these whites a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and increase them. I like a little shadow on the shoe, but I just didn't like all this garbage. And then we're going to come back. Now you can see what it did. It really messed up, our entire video, but we're going to mask it again. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead, selecting my adjustment tool, and I'm going to mask just this lower area where I was having some trouble. Okay, now that is going to reduce the mask and just put it down here. And what I can do then is I can increase the feather. Okay. I can also move this mask around. So I can move it below the shoes, so that it doesn't affect the shoes so much, so it doesn't look like they disappear. He still wants to have laces and things like that. So I'm going to rotate it a little bit because this kind of place right around the stick is where I want to get. I lost it there. Let me bring it back. Okay. And just by doing this alone, I'm pretty happy with that. I can kind of bring it and just increase it just a little bit there. I still want to see the shoes and the laces. And voila. All right. So now we can play this video. Just make sure that there's no weird white, mask or something that attaches to him or cuts off one of his arms or something weird like that. And that's pretty good. Again, we can go ahead and remove all of these attributes on this video. We could take a look at what it looked like before. There it is. We're just in a random garage. The lighting's not that great. We've got a little bit of white on the background. And we can turn it into a, professional looking video. Now we shot a ton of these. Some of them look better than others. But, all different types of models. But essentially, this is what we were working with. So I wanted to share with you guys if you're running into this and you're trying to fix white backgrounds with movement